Now, before we get to that, though, I want to talk about Labour. Obviously, Keir Starmer's speech, Enoch Powell-inspired speech in Island of Strangers. The left of his party, in fact, most of his party, are staging the mother of all political rebellions. He's never received anything like that. We'll talk about that in just a little while. But something's cropped up today that bears discussion, and that is that David Lammy, after the King's, remember the King's state visit to Italy not so long ago, was it 3 weeks ago, something like that. After that, he's obviously there as the Foreign Secretary, he's on official business. After that, he was in a place called Forlì, which is near Bologna, in Italy, of course, and he needed to head to the posh French ski resort of Flaine, as I'll say it in English, Flaine, F-L-A-I-N-E, in the Alps, presumably for some sort of holiday. He was with his wife, so yeah, they're Nicola Green. They're 53-year-old artists. They're on their way to the... Now, for some reason, I mean, it's a bit odd, isn't it? They took a cab, 6-hour cab ride. I mean, there must be a better way of getting from Bologna to the Alps than in a cab. Anyway, the fare was 600 quid. Now, when he arrived, the cabbie said 600 quid and Lammy wouldn't pay. It became aggressive, apparently, allegedly. And it was a 360-mile trip on April the 10th, by the way. And the angry cab driver, when Lammy wouldn't give him 600 quid, apparently drove off with his luggage. So it all went very, very pear-shaped. Now, Whitehall now says that Lammy was the victim in this incident and that all fees were paid in advance. That's why Lammy was furious about being told he owed the cabbie 600 quid. The Foreign Office spokesman said today, Russell, we totally refute these allegations. The fare was paid in full. The Foreign Secretary and his wife are named as victims in this matter, and the driver has been charged with theft. Well, we await to get that confirmed. We'd never trust the Foreign Office, as there is an ongoing, here we go,
as there is an ongoing legal process, it would be inappropriate to comment further.
Oh, God, they're hiding behind that again.
Hang on, it's a legal process in other countries, so what do we care?
Yeah, but what, exactly right. Well, they always do that. Oh, yeah, we don't want to get in the way. Valid. Yeah, they're just hiding behind a legal process. Absolute claptrap. Yep. There's something about this that the Foreign Office does not want to share with the public. Let's just, this is my question. This was paid... The Foreign Office is saying this fare was paid in full in advance. Now, we don't know this, but are they, in fact, they're saying that we, the taxpayers, footed the bill for his 6-hour, 360-mile Italian cab drive? Is that what they're saying? Because if so, I want to know why.
Well, I have never come across a private hire journey where you pay in advance, apart from an Uber, which this was not, where obviously they debit your money immediately. You always pay at the end, but that's the first thing. So again, it's unfeasible, isn't it, that you know, if it's been paid up front, it's obviously been paid by the government and therefore by us as the taxpayer. But why get a taxi for 500 kilometres, 360 miles, for 6 hours? I mean, Lammy actually, since being appointed as Foreign Secretary, since this government has been in power, Lammy's actually become quite famous for luxury private jet travel.
He's the biggest...
so why didn't he just jump on another one of his...
traveller of them all?
Yeah, so why didn't he jump on another private jet? I mean, do you think, I don't know, maybe he's trying to reduce his transport bill because he's so embarrassed by it, but getting a taxi for that distance, what did he think it was going to cost? When you're going from one country to another, you're going through the Alps, for goodness sake.
The taxi from Italy to France, to actually cross a border like that in a taxi.
But that's like getting a taxi...
Very weird.
Do you know what that's like? That's like getting a taxi from Land's End to John O'Groats and then wondering why it's not 60 quid.
Yeah. But I think the essential question here, I mean, if he's stupid enough to spend his own money like that, I mean,
which he
Dave, we all know you're not the sharpest pin in the pack, but there are more economic ways of travelling 360 miles from Italy to France than getting a taxi. Taxi!
Okay, so look,
take me to another country, please.
He's gone on government business to accompany King Charles.
That's fair enough.
Right, so obviously that should be, you know, that should be funded. Yeah. But then if he then decides to go off after that, on a holiday, that should be under his own cost and steam.
Yeah.
You know, Angela Rayner, of course, has been under fire for doing a similar thing, where she goes to Kenya on a fact-finding mission.
Oh no, that's when she wanted to go on safari.
And then she decides she wants to go on safari. So in other words, I mean, you might
but
think...
she did get that turned down.
No, but you might... Exactly.
No,
so how's Nanny getting away
you
with it?
can't go and look at the elephants. You're working.
Whether it's Rachel Reeves, who can't walk past a theatre without going in it and having a gifted ticket.
Yeah.
I mean, this lot, talk about having their noses in the trough.
I'll accept, Russell, I'll accept that if he was on official business, the King's state visit, and he had a holiday booked in France, that because he had to be there, maybe the Foreign Office can cover his costs to get on his holiday because perhaps he was inconvenienced. I'll accept that.
Will you?
But not... Well, yeah, but
it's
not...
a stretch.
But, well, I'll just about accept it. But not if it's a taxi.
Yeah.
Not if it's 600 quid's worth of taxi.
I mean, why...
The Foreign Office should be thinking about the taxpayer and saying there are cheaper ways to get to France from
But why didn't he hire a car from Hertz for 80 quid? I mean, is he too stupid to drive, do we think?
Probably hasn't passed his test. It's amazing he passed any exam.
They are rinsing us, aren't they? Not just the French, but our own government are rinsing us.
Well, we don't. To be fair, we don't know whether the government. But it sounds to me as if we, the taxpayer, footed his taxi bill. But we'll try and find that out. But either way. Blimey, Dave, you don't need to get a taxi from Italy to France. It's unbelievable. Let's just quickly talk about that speech on Monday, the immigration crackdown, of course, all about legal immigration, not illegal immigration. Won't make a blind bit of difference. It was very feeble, tinkering around the edges. But in his hardline speech, he used rhetoric reminiscent of Enoch Powell, "We're turning into an island of strangers." And the left wing of his party, in fact his entire party, are in uproar. Loony lefty Richard Bergen has demanded that the PM apologise. Yvette Cooper went on to Good Morning Britain, and Susanna Reid said, well, would you say island of strangers? Would you borrow phrases from, it's not quite an exact phrase, but would you paraphrase Enoch Powell? She didn't want to know. Everybody, Sadiq Khan said
they're not the words I would use.
Not the words I would use. He's in trouble, isn't he?
Well, and the thing is, Kev, he was in trouble anyway, right?
Yeah.
So they've just lost 200 councillors 2 weeks ago in the local elections because the country has turned against a government which effectively is just a bunch of liars, right? Let's just say it how it is. So he's in massive trouble as it is. He's got problems with his backbenchers because, you know, they know they're next. Their councillors are next. They're going to have the grassroots screaming and shouting at them for the next 3 years because of the winter fuel allowance thing, because of net zero going the wrong way and costing us a fortune, not being compatible with economic growth and the economy itself, waspy women, and we could go on and on and on. Yeah. He was in trouble anyway. Now, yes, look, 10 months into his premiership, this is unprecedented. 10 months in, he's got not just trouble, he's not just unpopular with the public and the voters, he's now incredibly unpopular with some very sinister individuals actually on the left of the party, Labour. Does he survive this? I mean, is this the beginning of the end?
Quite a few moderates aren't happy with him either.
But do you think this is the beginning of the end?
But Quinton Letts made this point in the Mail today, or was it yesterday? Quite a good point. It was this. His problem is this, that with the political earthquake going in towards reform, it is clear that what Keir Starmer wants and what his party, his left-wing party want, is at complete contrast with what the public want. Well, we don't want what Labour want. We want what Reform want.
No, but the problem is this also demonstrates very clearly that Keir Starmer stands for nothing.
Oh yeah.
He has no ideology.
Useless
he has no belief whatsoever. He's literally woken up the day after the local elections and thought, oh, that was a bit painful. I know what I'll do. I'll try and out-reform reform.
Yeah.
I'll make immigrants to this country now, or I don't know, speak English and so on. And of course there was political 101, this is. Of course his party are going to be up in arms, but is anybody convinced that Keir Starmer really believes
No, he doesn't. No, you see, that
he's going to stop immigration?
That's the thing. He's thinking, well, if I'm going to take power, I've got to get tough on him. So he makes this speech and he goes way over the top, goes all Enoch Powell. Well, and now his party are furious.
Can I just suggest that he was toast, now he's burnt toast?
He's very, very burnt toast. Russell, really good to have you on board. Thanks so much. Russell Quirk there, fantastic political commentator, driver of Porsches, that kind of thing. Also, of course, a host here, a presenter here on Talk.